What is going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and we are live here at the Leo King Studios here in Orange County, California. And I am so excited to be here today because I always love being live. I always love being here with you, the viewer, where we answer questions at the end of my segment. The reason why I do these live videos is this is a great way for me to broadcast how I view the astrology for the week. This is my, I guess you could say, my astrology vlog. It's also much more than just astrology, just a way that I'm looking at how life is going and how the cosmos are speaking to us in very powerful ways. And I'm very excited to do this week's live show because I believe there is a massive portal opening Friday into this weekend. If you watched my May horoscope, I brought up that this would be a very big culmination point in the astrology of May. I know May already has been a very intense month for people, and everybody can feel that June is going to be this new horizon, and there is a lot to cover. Now, I do this because this is a very good way for us to interact, for me to actually show you things, because not only can I use multiple camera positions, but I can actually screen share and show you all the cool stuff that I'm doing. Now, the one thing that I do want to say is I am live in the chat room, so I just want to say, like, here we are. I'm on my phone, so I will be paying attention to what is going on in the chat room. So I'd also love it if we could have people share this video, get as many people as we can to get it going. I always love having a lot of people in here. This show tends to get a lot of numbers going, so it'll be fun to do that. Now, let's go into the astrology of right now, this moment, so you can take a look and see what we're at right now. Now, it's Tuesday today. It is May the 16th. I'm running this chart for that time, and here we are. This is the final week of the Sun in Taurus, and I'm going to talk about why I believe this week is so important to understand what this Taurus finalization is about. The nodes have now entered into Leo and Aquarius, and this is our first full week with them there. And if you notice, the sun this week will come into a major square with these aspects. Also, if you can see, the moon in Aquarius is getting ready to come into its big 3/4 square of the moon. So we're going to talk about how this is playing into everything as far as what do these squares mean. Also, Venus, which is in Aries, is getting ready to come out of its shadow, which means it went retrograde at 13 degrees months ago. And then we've got, of course, Mercury, which went retrograde in Taurus weeks ago, a little over a month ago, and it's come back into Taurus, and it's getting ready to exit shadow this week. So this is a major week of leaving shadow periods and big squares to the sun, dealing with the nodes. And what does this all mean? Well, let's try and think about this on a very simple plane. I guess the best way that I could describe this is a massive decision in one's life. And that's what I believe portals are about. I believe they're about major decision points. I believe they're about really following what destiny has brought you towards. And what's interesting about this week, and what's interesting about the energy that's coming in on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, is it almost might just pull you off guard. The reason why I think it's pulling people off guard is because if we do look at the astrology, we have this big Saturn and Uranian trine happening. And so there's a lot of shock that could happen from this in the positive, I believe, and unexpected karma that comes up out of nowhere. We're ready for that karma to show up. So it's hard because when you actually have Saturn trine Uranus, inside you somewhat feel like there's a major decision to be made that's going to radically change your life. But at the same token, there's something that feels like it hasn't fully kind of come together, or maybe it just won't show up, or maybe you think it's crazy that something major could show up right now in your life. Like, no, everything's going secure and fine, so I don't think it could change. You know, that's what's interesting about the astrology and how everything is starting to come to this really peaked out point here, and it's kind of hidden, you know, like if you don't really look deep into astrology, you just kind of would be like, oh yeah, it's just kind of another boring week, right? And just normal shit going on. But the truth is there is some extremely deep astrology to go through. And before we like break down the astrology, I want to kind of do it in pictures. Because I think that would be, I think a lot of people like when I do the picture aspect. So let's start with the fact that the sun is going to square the north and the south node, which will be, remember, the north and the south node just moved into Leo and Aquarius, and it's going to be here for 18 months, right? All the way until 2018. I think it's around October 2018, something like that. So it's going to be a while here. Now, for the fact that the sun is in Taurus, remember, Taurus is the sign of the bull. It's the sign of making very powerful decisions based off a higher value, but more importantly, about understanding your self-worth. And also on this end of, and actually, let me show you guys in the astrology before we actually go into the pictures, is this end of the zodiac, okay, is the star system of the Pleiades, right? Okay? Like this is where they're at. And this is where the sun is entering now. And this is where Mars is exiting, okay? But what's interesting is while all these massive transits are going on that are culminating by Friday into this weekend, there is this major sun aspect that's in the star system of the Pleiades, which deal with, I think, the bringers of light, okay? It's going to square the nodes, which are asking for a major decision if you're going to go north in your life or if you're going to go south in your life. And that's what I'm going to cover in the pictures right now. Are you going to ascend into the light? And especially because, remember, I did in a lot of other videos recently that Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus deal with the light, okay? But there is a north part and there is a south part right now with the nodes. And the Aquarian energy is where we got to disconnect from and leave, unfortunately. The Leo is where the north node is. This is an 18 years it took to get here, okay? This isn't just because I'm a fucking Leo, okay, that I'm saying that you got to go towards the Leo energy. This is just the astrology. Now let's have some fun and look at the pictures that I'm going to bring. So there's this calling. Now, spiritually speaking, okay, if you're not into spirituality, this picture might look like, okay, now we're getting a little bit too religious, or we're getting a little bit too godly here, we're getting a little bit too extreme here with the spirituality. The truth is, this picture is a way for you to kind of look at your life and for you to go, this week you have a major, major choice. And yes, if you don't believe in God, that's your thing, okay? I respect that. But I do believe in God. I do believe in higher forces. I do believe in angels. I do believe in higher forces that have brought us down here for a purpose. I do believe in a side of light and love that does rule the universe, that does bring positivity. And that side is asking for you to be called and to bring that light back into your life. And you are at a place, now if you want to look at this as like a physical thing, not a spiritual thing, you're kind of coming to a culmination point where you need to make a choice. Do I want to go towards the light that I want in my heart? Or do I want to go where the crowd's going and everyone else is doing it? The reason why, when you look at Aquarius, it deals with the crowd. It deals with rebel, it deals with revolting, but it deals with what everybody else is doing too. And what I think is interesting is, are you going to separate and leave the crowd? Are you going to stop falling for what everybody else is saying to do or what everybody else should do? Are you going to really step out of line and follow your heart and follow the way that you want to go and do the things in life that you want to do? Because the truth is, that's where we're at, is you are at this week having to make a very deep decision in your life on whether or not you are going to find the courage and find that strength and find that knowing that, you know what, it's not easy. It wasn't easy for, the lion in Wizard of Oz to find that courage and get that badge of honor of courage. He had to prove it. You got to prove it. But the other aspect of this is you got to disconnect and say, I'm sorry, I'm out of here, dude. Later, this isn't it. And kind of give it a cool, like, later, bro. Whether this is relationship stuff, project stuff. Because you got to follow your heart and where you go. And there's no harsh aspect to it. It's not like, F you, I'm out of here. That could be the South Node in Aquarius. This is about doing the North Node in Leo thing, being like, dude, I love you, but we're not on the same position. We're not on the same place. The reason why I'm using relationships at this aspect is because, have you looked at the astrology lately? There's some major transits happening in the middle of all this. Jupiter and Venus are going to make a major opposition this week, okay? While at the same time, Mars is getting ready to oppose Saturn, but not really. That's weeks away, a week and a half away, whatever you want to call it. But the major thing is Venus is exiting its shadow, which means all of these crazy relationships, projects, and stuff that have come up that the universe has karmically brought into your life over the last couple of months is coming to a decision point into where you are going to go. And I think with Jupiter involved, this is a major adventure of a lifetime, especially because Saturn is right now in Sagittarius and Jupiter is ruled by Sagittarius, and this is where Saturn is. I think that this is a major time of the adventure of a life and connecting with the people and the place and the heart-centered place that you really want to go into this journey, and disconnecting from the energies and the people and the things that, it doesn't mean that they're bad or it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that, you know what, you're making a decision of where you really want to go in your life, what feels like it's right, what feels like it's called, what feels like it really will take you to a peaceful, more beautiful place. And I think that it's hard for people because for people, it feels like, well, I've always been friends with this person, or I've always done this with this person, and I have to go do that just because I have to. No, maybe you need to look at maybe because this is what makes you really fucking happy. This is what you really want to do more of your life with. This is something that feels like it's been called by God or been called by the universe to be, you know, projected this way. And with Uranus making some really weird stuff going on in the universe with Saturn, it's going to be unpredictable, random stuff that's going to change the course of your life. Saturn is literally like a boat. Next time you look at Saturn, okay, it looks like a rudder. Okay, Saturn looks like a little rudder there, if you see that. And so when you have the rudder being turned by Uranus, which brings it in every other way, remember Uranus rules the ankles and it rules the wrists. So the rudder is turning in some really weird directions, and everybody's rudder in life is going in a really weird position. You know, it's kind of like, instead of just, you know, this way, it's kind of going like that way, you know, like it's all over the place. So this is a major moment in life to really make the choice of following your own direction, your own heart, your own way, your own want, your own need. And because this is Taurus, there's a stubbornness about this, but it is to bring a much more positive place in your life, something that feels much more to home. And because when you look at the transits of the astrology on May 19th, when this portal opens, not only is it Venus coming out of shadow and opposing Jupiter, which I just showed you right here. Okay, see that? 13, 13. Mercury is a day and a half or a day away from leaving its shadow. Remember, 4 degrees is where it went retrograde. So it's exiting shadow. The sun is exactly squaring the nodes at 28 of Taurus and with 28 Leo and 28 Aquarius. But on top of that, the moon will have entered into Pisces, which the moon has not been into Pisces since the south node left a week and a half ago. So the moon now is entering into the Pisces zone without the south node effect, which means there's a deep spiritual calling and a spiritual fulfillment. And because the moon is on top of Neptune, there is a huge calling for the weekend if you move into the weekend, Saturday, okay? Where here's the moon passing Neptune, here's the sun moving into Gemini this weekend coming up and changing things and finishing out this Taurus story, which squared the nose and asked for what is the best life that you can have possible. That is what his week is about making the decision for what is the best life possible for me, period. That's going to make me happy, and where I have to disconnect from things that are just not feeling up to par anymore. And also because there's so much happening with Aquarius, and I hate to bring up the news, but the news is blatant with people afraid to say how they really feel. Every news network I watch, whether it's politics or just the world is just so afraid to say what they really want to say. Everybody's like, well, they're saying it, so I should say it. Or everybody else says that, or everybody else thinks I should go that way, so we should go that way too. There's a very deep problem in the psyche of the collective consciousness with feeling like we should do what everybody else is doing. When really there is this hard line that is asking everybody to say, no, I know what's the best for me. The information that's coming my way, I can sort it out, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to go that direction just because that information says to go that way. The thing about courage is going in places where nobody has ever gone before, doing things that maybe everybody might think is crazy or ludicrous, but really, it's really where you feel like you should go. It's where you feel like you are called the most in your life to go. It's where you feel like you know you should go. So, pretty major decision point this week that is coming kind of hidden and out of nowhere by this weekend, and it will be a massive buildup this week that just kind of pops out of nowhere. That's what I think the most beautiful part of this is. So, plus, you know, the sun coming out of Taurus and exiting Taurus, which is a Venus-ruled energy, by the way, is truly asking for people to, I think, really realize, like, it's time in your life to pick the people, the relationships, and the things that you really want in your life, and to make sure that those are the things that you choose to commit to now in your life and that you go towards. It's okay to leave and let go of people and circumstances and things that are just not on target with where you want to go or that don't feel right anymore in your life. But there are some things that feel so right that you have to go towards. And there's a calling behind that stuff now. There's no coincidence that over the last 2 months, the universe has brought people back into your life for a reason. And you need to pay attention to those. And there's also a reason of whoever is in your life over the last two months that has changed your life forever and changed the way you perceive your life. And it's time to head down those roads with those people. And it's time to leave some of the roads with people that you realize in the last 2 months aren't really on the same track as you. And let go of those. And I know that that's so hard because Jupiter's in Libra, because it feels like we want to try and make every road work with every person, but it's been a Venus retrograde in Aries. It's opposing Jupiter this week, and I'm sorry to say, folks, there's just some people that, you know, it just is the way that it is. So it's kind of interesting to see how this week is going to play out, especially with relationship stuff, because of the fact that Venus finishes its opposition to Jupiter this week. It exits shadow. Mercury exits shadow on Saturday. The sun exits Venus-ruled energy, then moves into Gemini, which is Mercury-ruled, and that's the day that Mercury comes out of shadow too. Do you think that's a coincidence? Which means we move from a more physical understanding of where we're at in life, and we now start to move to a mental, exciting, stimulated, and moving towards and creating the environment. Mercury especially, and Gemini itself rules your environment, okay? How it looks around you. And now we're about to start to play with that. But we can't play with that until we have physically made a decision on who and what we want in our lives and who to be with us and what feels spiritually called and what feels called towards ourselves, and to get out of this position of, oh, where was it? Oh, not that dude. You know, move out of this position where we feel like we're stuck in the crowd and we need to leave. We need to get out of just, you know what? This is the way we're doing it. This is the way that inside your heart you're doing it. And that's the way you got to go live your life. Who cares what everybody else says? I think that, it's good to get the insight. But this is about learning the courage you find in yourself. The courage you find in yourself about how you truly, that story of the lion in the movie, of how you have to find courage. And it's not just through saying you did it. It's walking the whole freaking yellow brick road to the end, and then sticking up for your friends and sticking up for yourself and sticking up for the way that you do and standing up to it and owning that courage. And that's just something that really has to come out now in life. It just is. And so I think it's a very fantastic week. I think it's the beginning. When I talk about portals, sometimes people, I think, get a little confused. Let's look at what a portal is like for what people, I think portals are. Okay. So, well, actually, this is a good way to describe a portal. Okay. You moving from one end of the spectrum to the other in your life and making a major shift or transformation in your life and moving towards a new chapter. And, there is this really interesting transition happening that people are moving into a different chapter this week that they don't even realize is going to come. It's just like going to fall into their lap with this Uranus-Saturn trine, with this Venus opposed Jupiter, with all these transits that are starting to happen at very intense aspects, with the sun square the nodes. I mean, this is opening up you to moving from one end of the spectrum to the other, And also what I think is interesting about it is it does kind of change color, or it does do a flip-flop. Because if we look at, now let's have some fun here, and let's run the chart for 2012. 5 years ago exactly, okay? Did it do it? No. Hold on, guys. Go. Wow, it doesn't want to edit the chart. There we go. I don't know if you guys remember this, but on May 20th of 2012, there was a solar eclipse that happened in Gemini with the south node there. What was also very interesting is Mercury and Jupiter were in Taurus, and Venus was getting ready for its eclipse weeks after. You need to go back and look at your life, because the portal that's happening now, believe it or not, is such a big portal. It's so big. This isn't some little shit here. This isn't like, okay, I'm just moving from one little portal to another one that we've been going through recently. This is a hidden 5-year portal that you're not even realizing you're dropping into another one that almost mimics, okay? Mimics, but is the opposite reflection of what happened on May 20th of 2012 with the big solar eclipse that happened then. And the reason why I say that was because that solar eclipse was extremely powerful, because if you follow the day before on the 19th, we had the sun and the moon follow each other in an ecliptic phase in Taurus at these final degrees, exactly where the nodes are squaring right now, exactly where the sun is going to square the node. So if you look at your life from May 18th, but especially May 19th of 2012 and the 20th of 2012, when the actual new moon happened. So if you look at how the new moon happened that day, bammo, look at that new moon, wham. And it was a solar eclipse. It's interesting to see that there is going to be a lot of connection to that eclipse and to this squares, to this spot with the nodes and everything, and how much of a flip there are. So pretty intense, pretty crazy, kind of an intense aspect. And somebody asked, I hope that this one's better. I think that this is showing you the opposite side of that time in your life and how it is flipping, and but also to find the common denominators in it, you know? What's one thing about portals, how you know you're stepping into a portal, is there is a common denominator to it all. But it's usually, especially regarding whatever the sign is, right? So Gemini is a very kind of twinny sign. So it feels twinny, but it's the opposite. It's a different twin. So it feels identical, but it's different. That's why it kind of feels kind of flip-floppy, you know? Like you could be totally Jekyll and Hyde with Gemini. So there's this kind of flip-floppy aspect of where you were 5 years ago, literally this weekend. And the switching of all that stuff and kind of the unpredictability that I think showed up during that time in your life, and how it changed things forever. And how now you're coming to a place to where the events that are going to happen into this weekend are showing up to change things forever in a way that you switch into that portal and so forth. So we're going to gather our thoughts here for 1 second. We'll be back. We are going to take a quick break, and don't go nowhere because we're going to answer your questions next here on the Leo King Live.
The Leo King app is the world's first and leading video and notification astrology horoscope app for iPhone, Android, and computer. Get daily spiritual videos and addictingly accurate notifications alongside weekly sun sign horoscopes, tarot videos, and exciting new age entertainment videos by celebrity astrologer and TV personality David Palmer, the Leo King. Join today. You have nothing to lose with a 7-day free trial and wake up to astrology like you've never seen before.
Wake up to astrology like you've never seen before. What's going on, everybody? We are back here on the video. Some people are complaining of some video problems. I think it's definitely on Facebook's end because we're showing awesome streaming here. But, you know, perfect streaming, it actually says. But looks like Facebook's having a hard time with the video. But, of course, there'll be a rerun of this. And of course, I'll put it up on YouTube and so forth. So let's take your questions now. I actually really quick want to say this actually right before we do your questions. I have another webinar coming up, and this one I think is very important, dealing with how you deal with this portal. And the reason why I say that is because this next portal that's coming up, it really has to do with unlocking all the doors in your life. The final aspect of what this Saturn and Sagittarius is about, the final aspect of what all this fire coming in is, and air, and there's a lot of it happening, and how this is not a time to waste in your life. So I think it's very important to pay attention to it. So I am taking the registration right now for the June 2017 webinar. It's called Unlocking New Doors. And truly, I feel like this is finally June where you can really walk through and unlock all the doors in life that you want to unlock and move into some of the most powerful places in life. And I think that it is a major deciding on which doorways to unlock, and that how powerful June is. After the light came on in May, it's now time to go use that light and unlock the doors that need unlocking. There's going to be some very powerful transits happening with Mars that month of June. There's going to be some very powerful new moons and full moons. So I really believe that this is going to be a very powerful month to pay attention to. Make sure that you register now at inclusiveastrology.com to get that message. So, last thing too, when it comes to readings, this is the last week, well, it's like a week and a day of my rates. So get at Lauren, astrologer David Palmer at gmail.com if you want to book a reading with me. Let's get down to the questions real quick here. Somebody says, this feels like a second chance to make the right decisions about the situations that were not made in our best interest in 2012. I could not have said it any better. Anybody out there who knows Megan O'Hare, give that lady a round of applause. I couldn't have even said it any better. That is actually the best description that I have ever heard for this portal I'm describing. It is the opposite and the flip of whatever shit went down, especially because that was a south node solar eclipse on May of 2012. And now you have the amazing position to change that stuff now and make the opposite twin version of it. Why do you think Gemini is so opposite and twinny and can turn into two different people? Actually, multiple different people. But, you know, we like to look at the twin aspect. That is the best description I have heard. Thank you, Megan, for your awesome, not even question, but your statement. That was the best ever. I love when people say, I had no idea what I was doing in 2012. Oh, boy. You might want to pull out your Facebook for that one. And, you know, for some people, maybe you were just sitting through the unconscious world through 2012, and you're going to need to really kind of open up the book. But, you know, eclipses are imprinted forever, and sometimes they take years, decades to make sense. Sometimes they go unresolved for a long time. I'm trying to tell you that this shit's coming down to being unresolved or being resolved right now. Even though it's not an eclipse, it's kind of an eclipse, as there's the sun and the moon squaring and on top of the nodes, and it's kind of like my own spiritual way of looking at it. And with all the planets turning direct and with everything that's happening at that moment, at that position, at that square point, wow. And then the sun transferring into Gemini, wow. It's a lot. So there's a lot of resolution to that time. Maybe not all resolution, but like 90% of resolution. I mean, we're talking a lot of resolution there. Resolution all the way. Looking at all the so many questions here. Okay, Cricket Slade says, 2012 was when I had finally found my joy. I need to get back there, and I'm excited for the chance to make better choices. That's an amazing aspect to look at. You know, it was kind of a really weird transition. I can relate with you on this. I felt really high, and then it went really low quick, you know, in 2012. And it felt like I've been trying to bounce back to that place. And this is the bounce back. My opinion. But I want to say this too, that there is so much positive fucking energy, and pardon my French, but there is so much around, and the news and the media and everything around us is trying to say that it's not, with North Korea, with how Trump's doing, with how everything in the world is going. This South Node in Aquarian is trying to say that everything's wrong, when everything is totally right. In yourself, in the world around you. Don't get pulled into that crap. Don't get pulled into that shit. I'm telling you, it will burn you and you will get sucked into, and I will have to show the picture again because I think this picture extremely describes this perfectly. Let's just erase the red guy and you'll just be stuck in line with everyone else and what to believe. But you know, this is the power. Have you guys ever seen the movie THX 1138? It was actually, whatever his name, who created Star Wars. George Lucas's his big first film, okay? And what was interesting about this movie is these people lived in a world where they were literally controlled and they were told what to do, and they had no idea what they were in. They were totally controlled. They were doing work for the masses, and they were literally slaves. Okay? They were slaves. Stay calm. Visit the future where love is the ultimate crime, where you couldn't even make love. And basically, you know, this was even before the book 1984 and all that stuff, or I think it was around the same time maybe, but I mean, this movie came out in like 71, okay? And this movie is about a society that literally is caught up in its own control and lost in that control system, and they're lost in it. And there's one guy that tries to break free because he knows something's off or something's wrong, and he goes into find his direction and stops listening to the world in which they're telling him on how to live. And believe it or not, we are going through that right now, astrologically, with the South Node that conjuncted Neptune to trigger it. And now here's the South Node entering into Aquarius while we're at a time where Pluto's in Capricorn. This is a major control system trying to control what everybody should be doing, how you should think. There's going to be a lot of battles regarding you've got to do this. You should live this way. They said that on the radio. They said that on CNN. You've got to do it. It's creating a control system. And Lloyd put out the best movies. The Matrix series is the best. Equilibrium is an awesome movie. Actually, THX 1138 is a lot like Equilibrium, if you've ever seen it. V is for Vendetta is one of the best of the best of the best. Same Matrix guys made that movie. The Island, awesome movie. Running Man, awesome movie. They Live is one of my favorites. One of my favorite movies is They Live. Because I feel like spiritually and what aliens are, that's really the way that it is. And those are just some of the good ones. Awesome, Lloyd. Thanks for putting all that stuff out there. For people to see if they've never seen all those movies. They're definitely all missing out because that stuff is all going down right now more than ever, silencing people through the art of making them feel like they have a voice for something that doesn't even do shit. That is the power, is let's make people feel like they're empowered by what we tell them to be empowered about or be rebel against, when really they might be rebelling against the one thing that is breaking them free and positive in the world. Some deep shit. I'm actually going to go because I feel like for some reason people are dropping like flies because they're saying that this thing is going on and off. Facebook has got to get their shit together, but I think a lot of it is Mercury squaring my sun today. Exactly. So and I've been having horrible things. I hit a parked car yesterday. I scraped my back. I mean, I could tell you a million crap. There was blurry videos on the app because my camera broke. Like, it has been rough for me. So to be honest with you, I'm just going to get going here. Register for the June webinar. Last time to get readings, email Lauren now, astrologerdavidpalmer@gmail.com. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for everything that you do for providing your awesome support to my channel, my app, and of course, watching these videos. Thanks so much. Totally appreciate you. Can't wait to see you in the next live video, and I will see you guys all later.
The Leo King app is the world's first and leading video and notification astrology horoscope app for iPhone, Android, and computer. Get daily spiritual videos and addictingly accurate notifications alongside weekly sun sign horoscopes, tarot videos, and exciting new age entertainment videos by celebrity astrologer and TV personality David Palmer, the Leo King. Join today. You have nothing to lose with a 7-day free trial and wake up to astrology like you've never seen before.
Wake up to astrology like you've never seen before.